Welcome to geothoughts.eu. Here are the highlights of geopolitical developments between November 7th and 13th. The Russo-Ukrainian war has entered another critical turning point which might indicate a possible Russian defeat. Ukrainian forces recaptured Kherson after Russian forces retreated, marking the third major retreat of the Russian army. The city was the only regional capital that Moscow controlled since February. President Zelensky called this victory historic as it is perceived as a gateway to taking back Russia-occupied southern Ukraine. Upon this development, the Kremlin stated that Russia is committed to achieving its goals in Ukraine and that Kherson is still a part of Russia. The Kherson region was proclaimed as part of the Russian Federation by Putin along with 3 other occupied regions of Ukraine, while warning that any attack on these regions would mean an attack on Russia. The Democrats retained their control of the U.S. Senate by winning enough seats in the midterm elections. This gave President Biden a major victory and diminished hopes for a Republican comeback in the next presidential elections. The Republican defeat is also a major blow to Donald Trump's hopes for a rerun for the presidency in the 2024 elections as disagreements deepened within the Republican Party after the candidates Trump supported were defeated. World leaders, ministers and representatives from almost 200 countries will be gathering for 2 weeks in Egypt's Sharm el-Sheikh city for the annual UN Climate Summit. The summit's goal is to find common ground to accelerate global climate action through emissions reduction, scaled-up adaptation efforts, and enhanced flows of appropriate finance, including overseeing the adaptation of previous documents. It is significant what will come out of this summit since dedication is needed from each country to save the planet from a climate catastrophe. Amid the climate summit in Egypt, the United Nations Development Programme warned that more than 50 of the poorest countries are in danger of bankruptcy unless the richer countries provide financial assistance. Inflation, energy crisis, and rising interest rates are described as threatening poorer nations the most, which may lead to catastrophic political, economic, and social consequences, as well as impeding poor countries' ability to combat climate change. U.S. Secretary of State Blinken met with Armenian and Azerbaijani ministers in Washington and praised both sides for taking courageous steps for durable peace. He also added that the United States is a friend of both sides and will help everything to support peace efforts. This may be a diplomatic move to increase U.S. influence in the Caucasus region amid declining Russian dominance after the start of the Ukraine war. Armenia and Azerbaijan have been confronting each other over Nagorno-Karabakh, a region internationally recognized as Azerbaijan but with an ethnic Armenian majority. In 2020, Azerbaijan retook some of its territories in a 6-week war after Russia mediated a peace deal. That was all for last week's top geopolitical developments from across the world. Thank you for watching. See you next week.